Abusia for a Black Empire Media. Yes, credit goes to a Black Empire Media. Black Rasta. Nabusia and wedding common Eddie Afa Koku Anyidoho. His Excellency John Mahama. Nabusia DNSC a course so abra. Koku Anyidoho Abusia Obora His Excellency John Mahama office Abusia. Na say enya sem keto aho. Yintie enkoma a course so. Near His Excellency John Mahama allegedly. Omoche oka ekire ye Koku Anyidoho emra sese na busi answer na no mama ye hwe this short video we na se wi a kwakotie ensem a Black Rasta abusia ode atodwa yintini na sese ha era so aye be media je chebe wase obe subscribe dia mebo notification bell no so small podcast update ya that's
real reason Mahama pushed out Koku Anyidoho. Who is Koku Anyidoho? His father is a great general Anyidoho. He's a man who is so respected in Ghana. Koku Anyidoho is a politician, a banker, my brother, my sister, and he held several positions in his party, the NDC, from time to time. At the helm of his political career, he was so close to the jugular vein of John Evans Atta Mills. He was his golden boy. And nobody, and I repeat, nobody was able to meet the president without passing through Koku Anyidoho. In fact, they were so close. Unfortunately, the president passed on. He died whilst he was in power. And from that time, doom started being spelled in the political career of the gentleman called Koku Anyidoho. I first met him when Barack Obama came all the way from America. And it was in the days of John Evans Atta Mills, my brother, my sister. And I was invited. He came with John Evans Atta Mills, and from afar, I saw him, my brother, my sister, and he remembers that like yesterday. John Evans Atta Mills was a man who himself was a political mentor to the present president of the Republic of Ghana, John Mahama. So, Mahama always followed him respectfully and loyally. But when John Evans Atta Mills died, even though many Ghanaians were expecting it, because he had gone through a long period of illness, much as they tried to cover it, it was so glaring that this man was on his way to Hades, and he finally bit the dust. He died. It was a shocker to all Ghanaians. Yes, they knew he was going to die, but they didn't think it was going to be this sudden. We were still living in denial when it was announced that the president had bitten the dust. That was when Koku Anyidoho started derailing. My brother, my sister, news came out that John Mahama, via the grapevine, rumors, had a hand in the death of John Evans Atta Mills. And it looked like Koku Anyidoho at a point was also feeding into that rumor. And several interviews he granted, he just fell short of calling John Mahama the murderer or the assassin of John Evans Atta Mills. It took people like Dr. Cadman Atta Mills, a younger brother of the president, to come out and debunk all these rumors and say, listen, our brother was sick and the autopsy is clear. But Koku still went ahead to say, publish the autopsy results. But that has never been published from the time the president died up till now. It's still in the grapevine that he died from a massive heart attack. Many said he died from throat cancer. Whatever it was, there was a death. Like in the case of Jonah, there was a swallow. In fact, It shook the NDC party, especially the fortunes of John Dramani Mahama. He instantly became president because he was vice president. And by our constitution, when the president is gone, the vice president would have to take over. So he chose his own vice president, my brother, my sister. And that was when the Bole boy became president of the nation. Something he probably never dreamt of. Something the prophets never saw. My brother, my sister, John Dramani Mahama became president. And the moment he became president, everything changed for Koku Anyidoho. He granted an interview to Paul Adum Ochri, a very good brethren of mine. And he opened his heart and he talked about what he went through in the hands of John Dramani Mahama. Shockingly, my brother, my sister, he was kicked out of his office. But what happened? Did he obey? Did he not obey? Today we bring you all the facts. Watch this.
Talking about me and John Mahama. Why he and his people always try to play the victim as if I have issues with them. Let me tell you, Paul. President Mills died on 24th July. 26th July in the morning, around 6 a.m., I got a call from Okujetua Blakwa. Not that we were that close, but he calls to say, oh, I'm just checking on you. Okay. Well, I accept it. 2-3 minutes later, I get a call from Omani Buama. Omani Buama and Blakwa at the time were two sides of the same coin. Omani was very frontal that, well, Sami called you and he couldn't tell you what he should have told you. But anyway, yesterday, so which means 25th, the man died. The day after, we had a meeting with the new president. And a decision has been taken. He says he cannot work with you.
Oh, wow.
Yes. This is Omani Buama, an MPP boy who came through CJA.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Suddenly is calling me to tell me that the new president, of course, subsequently the new president collapsed. Information Ministry added the communication and gave to him. Today he's collapsed the IT, added it to election director and given to him. So Omani is his real right-hand man. So Omani says the president says that
he cannot work with you.
And that for obvious reasons he cannot work with you.
What were those obvious reasons?
He didn't state.
You should know.
And that, I don't know.
But he says it's obvious.
It wasn't obvious to me. And that by close of day, I'll be informed. So I should consider some 3 parastatals that I'll be shifted to as either deputy CEO or CEO. But as for the castle, I should forget it. I can't stay there any longer. That's how the conversation ended. Of course, at the end of that day, I didn't get a call. Three days later, I drove to Mr. Tuahoy. And this is the first time I'm mentioning his name at Westlands.
His home.
His home. I got the same information. Oh, Koku, you know, Prof is dead. And John says he cannot work with you. So are you going to go back to the bank?
Oh,
yeah.
After that
after this number of years, go back to the bank. Uncle Atu, well, you know, this is what John is saying. Hey! Paul, when I left Uncle Atu's house that morning, and I didn't commit suicide, it is not in my DNA to come. Look, I couldn't believe it.
What did you tell Messi?
The third one was Henry Martin Newman. Today I'm opening up.
Oh, the chief of staff.
Yes.
Your man.
Now,
your boss.
Between Atuahoy and Omani, this was even before the burial of President Mills.
Yes, the date you are mentioning.
Yeah, before the burial. Martin Newman's own was after the burial.
What did he say?
The same message. And this was in his official bungalow at Cantonments, Chief of Staff bungalow.
Yeah, where Chief of Staff.
So he asked to see me and I went. The same story that, well, his own started that, well, Sani, oh, you leave. Believe, no, you leave for some 6 weeks. By the time you come back, we shall consider your political future. Mr. Newman, I've never said this story, but after 12 years, to the extent that you people continue to sit down and let John Mahama and his boys play the victim as if I'm the bad person, Mr. Newman, after 12 years, I'm mentioning your name. Uncle Ato, after 12 years, I'm mentioning your name. Because I will not allow them to play the victim any longer as if I'm the bad person. I have always been the victim. But for the sake of cohesion, I have kept quiet. But after 12 years, I will mention the names. Then the whole world know that the victim that John Mahama is playing is fake. I am the real victim. So Martin Newman tells me that John Mahama says that he cannot work with me, so I should leave the presidency. At that point, I said, well, Omani has told me, Uncle Atu has told me, Martin Newman, you are telling me, please go and tell the president that I'm not going on leave and I'm not leaving the presidency because we have an election to win and I have to protect the legacy of President Mills.
You were defying the new president.
Well, he hadn't spoken to me.
You can't do that.
Oh, listen, let me finish. So that's how I responded. I said, I'm not going anywhere. However, I'm a very regimented person. And you are a lawyer and an astute administrator. When President Mills wanted to appoint me, he got you to write to me officially.
So write.
And
sack me.
So that when I leave the presidency and I step out and anybody asks me, Koku, why have you left? Because the whole ploy that go on leave it was a ploy. Immediately you leave, they will say you have left. You don't like John Mahama. That's after the death of President Mills, you have left. Now there's something I haven't told you. The day President Mills died, Paul, by the time I returned from the Tech 7, my father, General Anyidoho, was seated in my office at the castle.
What did he tell you?
He had come to look for a son.
For what?
Who he knew that would be traumatized because of the death of his political father. He came, gave me his ties to whip on. But when he finished, you know what he told me? Koku, the president is going to be sworn, the new president is going to be sworn in tonight. You are not allowed to stay away from the swearing in. You will go to that swearing in. So gather yourself as a man and go to the swearing in. I know what I'm telling you as a father. Don't stay away from the swearing in. Paul, I obeyed my father and didn't stay away from the swearing in. Everything we could do to support John Mahama to take over. But after he got sworn in, this is what I had to go through. So I told Martin Newman to write.
Yes, did he write?
Of course, that letter never. You know, you are doing this job and people are giving you some epithet, the bull. So people think that Taflacha a bull, Ujibu. So they can, corner you. So
has the letter come till today?
The letter didn't come.
Till 2016?
He never came.
Why didn't you ask to see John Mahama himself?
As president?
Yes, why didn't you ask Omani that, okay, I hear you, but I would like to talk to President Mahama?
I mean, my position was that, to the extent that he himself hasn't told me anything, so I'll stay there and work. But of course,
you can't stay there and work.
So I stayed.
Okay.
And that is why after 2012 victory, they moved to the Flagstaff House. If you want to stay at the castle, stay there.
You didn't go to the Flagstaff House?
I didn't even know they were going to move. I came to office one day, they had moved. So even as a remnant at the Flagstaff House, one afternoon, Valerie Sawyer sends me a message. About 3 p.m., the message came. I should make sure that by close of day, I pack out of the castle.
She as Deputy Chief of Staff?
I don't know what post she was holding at the Flagstaff House. Are you, Valerie? It was because of your father. Otherwise, in the Kuku Hill campaign itself, did you ever follow us on any campaign trail?
But that was her house.
Fine! So President Mills rewarded your father?
Thank you so much to Paul Adumochre for a very beautiful interview. Now, Paul Adumochre asked a very important question. Koku, did you try to speak with the president at the time? He said no. Why did you not try to do that? He said the position had been made clear to him. And it took him time to be able to find the right answer. to give to Paul Adumotre. My brother, I have done my checks. I have done some interviews because I have always been interested in this issue. Because Koku is a guy that I like. Now, my information is that when Koku was in the office of the president, he was extremely pompous. Pomposity. He was grandiose, huge in his own elements. My brother, my sister, there were times requests came in from the office of the vice president, then John Mahama, to the president John Evans Atta Mills. And because he was the spokesperson, and even more to John Evans Atta Mills, comments he passed. Things like, not exactly so. Oh, we are looking at doing better things, and then every time, this from the vice president's office. Why? We are looking at doing better things. Things like that. My brother, my sister. And everything went to the ears of John Dramani Mahama. In fact, the office of the vice president was not respected the way it should have by Koku and people around the president. For some reason, they found a way of alienating the office of the vice president, John Dramani Mahama, and sometimes even trying to present some request. The vice president himself was scared. Listen, if it goes and Koku happens to see it, this is going to be trouble again. My brother, my sister. That's how far I can go. Information I have is that Koku was quite disrespectful to John Dramani Mahama. And all of a sudden, it was his turn to become president. And he didn't see it fit to have Koku represent him as his spokesperson. Therefore, he wanted him out of the office so another person could replace him. And Koku was not ready to move. But the information I have is that it was after the funeral of John Evans Atta Mills, not as he has put it out right now, or a day after the death, I was told to pack up and leave, as if there was a certain kind of hurry to get the prof out of the place so that all his bag and baggage could follow him, including Koku. It was all after the funeral, from the information I have from the corridors of power. After the funeral, the president wasn't comfortable working with the man who looked down on him as a person in his office in one way or the other. And he had the reports come to him time after time. Well, you were a very good friend to the prof, my political mentor. And I'm glad that he mentioned it. He was given different options. You can be this, you can be this, you can be this. But he didn't seem to be interested in that. He was used to the diplomatic life, to stay at the castle, the seat of power. He didn't want to move. But Mahama insisted, I don't need you here. You got to move. He said, okay, write to me and sack me. At the end of the day, Mahama and his boys said, if the mountain is refusing to move, why wouldn't Mahama himself, as Muhammad, move all the way to the mountain? So they decided to move the seat of government from the so-called castle, which I prefer to call the slave dungeon, and move to the so-called Jubilee House and left Koku there. What a consideration. Mahama decided to move everybody hook, line, and sinker, because there was a giant in there who did not want to move a muscle. So you stay there. We've left the whole place to you, as you heard him say, and they moved to the Jubilee House. Later, Koku was pushed into the national security, where he headed some department, and he was quite uncomfortable there because he was used to being close to the seat of power. It was almost like a demotion for him. But where work has to be done, it doesn't matter whether you are asked to be the messenger or the painter. The work has to be done.
We en sama wuro timi ko so channel no so mame ena wate so jemre da sene so bad in dia dumbi edomani onia ye besenhia na yasoma kwanstronko so